As we wrap up this series this morning, I want to actually start with the verse that's rarely used when it comes to marriage, but I think it is probably one of the greatest verses in the Bible when it comes to understanding the relationship, the connection, the intimacy, the necessity, the friendship that comes with marriage. And it actually, if you bought one of those shirts on the back of it, it actually says, it references this verse, 2 is better than 1. It's found in the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon, and it was written basically for Solomon's search. Solomon's search for significance, Solomon's search for purpose, Solomon's search for joy and happiness in life, and he records all the things that he did. He's like, basically, man, I tried everything to try to find happiness. And in the end of the book, he says, the bottom line is, love God, serve God, be who you're supposed to be, live this life the way that it's supposed to be, and that's when you find ultimate contentment and purpose in life. But in the middle of that, in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 9 through 12, he says this, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. And when you think about marriage, it is all about the two of you being successful. Now let me just really quantify that and clarify that, because we often determine or define success differently depending upon who we are. When God talks about success when it comes to the marriage, it talks about 2 people joining together as one, working together as one, on the same adventure, moving in the same direction, having the same purpose, experiencing the same things, the joy, the sorrow, the heights, the lows, the great things, the difficult things, the circumstances that are wonderful, the circumstances that are painful. And it says, man, 2 off are better than 1. It is better to have a partner in this journey in life than it is to try to figure it out all on your own. He says, listen, 2 is better than 1, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. Oftentimes in our world, if somebody falls, we don't help, we pour it on. We're like, yeah, you were an idiot. That was really dumb. And we just keep pouring it on. When it comes to somebody in this area of relationship and marriage, it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be, here, let me help you up. Because remember, the 2 of you are tied together. Their success is your success. Their joy is your joy. Their experience is your experience. Their circumstances are your circumstances. And so as you understand that, you're like, man, I want to help them be successful because they're tied directly to me. I am tied directly to them. And so he continues. He goes, but if someone who falls alone, they're in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and they can conquer. And then he finishes with this, 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Now, as we understand this in the context of marriage, we see 2 people coming together, but then we see the third strand as God. Because when you understand and you realize that your marriage is all wrapped around the person that created marriage back in Genesis chapter 2, and he says this is what marriage is supposed to look like, one man, one woman, for life forever, without shame, under God, and being able to make that commitment to one another and being able to do those things, you're like, man, God understands it. God knows what it's about. God understands how and what it takes. And so when you say, man, we're going to make God the center of our marriage and we're going to do it the way that God says, guess what? God steps in and helps. The Old Testament literally says that God is searching the entire earth for those who are committed to Him so that He can come up strong and be able to support them so that they can be a success, so that they can succeed. And so when you understand that, you're like, man, 2 is better than 1. The connection and the relationship and the way that God created this, as you work together and you help each other, and God is the one that's bringing the success between the 2 of you. And so when you understand that, it's like, man, take a step back and realize that encouraging your spouse is so important. Now think about the word encourage for just a little bit. It's really a very simple word. It's all about putting courage into your spouse. Encouraged. To inspire, you're inspiring someone. You're putting inspiration into someone. To encourage literally means that you are giving courage to your spouse. You are building them up. You're saying, you can do it. I believe in you. You're strong. You have the ability. You are literally coming alongside them and encouraging them. To entrust someone means to place your trust in them. To encourage someone means to put courage into someone. You may have a spouse that is fearful. You may have a spouse that is constantly consumed with worry. with the things that might consume him or her. And your responsibility as a spouse is to give them courage as you encourage them. Now, here's the thing that throughout this entire series I've been really clear on. Because when we look at marriage, often what we do is we begin to ask the questions, what are you supposed to be doing for me? And in this entire series, we've never said, you should expect this from your spouse. Rather, we've said, you should give this to your spouse. Because the reality is until you stop looking and expecting and you just start giving the way that Jesus Christ gave you, the way that God loves you in unconditional love, the way that God sees you, all those different things, until you do that, you can have no expectation of that back from your spouse. And sometimes you're the one that actually stops the crazy cycle of everyone being ugly to each other. And you begin to build each other up and become who God's called you to be. So here's the big idea for today in this idea of encouraging your spouse. God created spouses to complete. God created spouses to complete and complement each other, not compete and criticize each other. God created spouses to complete and complement each other, not compete and criticize each other. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret as long as you promise not to tell anybody else. Some of you got that. But I, believe it or not, I'm just going to surprise some of you. It's going to shock some of you. I am a fairly competitive individual. I know that's probably a shock and really you're like really way out of the fact. And then in reality, I also married someone who is fairly highly competitive as well. And we have 2 children that are fairly competitive. But anyways, it kind of goes that way. But when Tracy and I were first dating, I think we've been dating for about 6 months. We dated for 3 years before we got married. We've been together for 27 years, including the whole dating thing. And so we had been dating for maybe about 6 months. And we were in college, and we were bored, and we're like, man, you want to do something? So we went to the Commons area. There wasn't anything good on TV. And they had this cabinet where they had all these board games. I had never played a board game with Tracy at this point in time. Tracy had never played a board game with me. And so we went and we got this board game. You may know it. It's called Sorry. Have you ever been there? You're laughing. Apparently some of you have had this experience before. But in the game of Sorry, you put your 5 pawns in the starting square, right? The starting star, whatever it is, and you have to, flip cards over and you move a certain space. But if you're coming from behind that person and you land on their pawn, you can send their pawn back to the starting point, and they have to start all over again. It's a great game. I think that's fantastic. And so we begin to play. Well, I am a competitive person. I play to win. And so I just, kept like, pooh, there you go, sorry, kept putting it back. About halfway through, she goes, you're not playing this game right. I'm like, I'm winning, so apparently I am. She goes, no, we're doing this for fun. I said, I'm having fun. I don't see the problem here. Now remember, she is also competitive, but she's sneaky competitive. She's not as out front as I am about the whole competitive thing. So she tells me this, and I can see that she's, like a little irritated about this. So I back off a little bit, and I only send her back every other one. And so I finish, and I have all 5 of my pawns in home. She has 1 in home, 1 on the square, and 3 in start. She was not happy with me. And she reminded me that I did not play nice. And I'm like, well, you play to win the game. We didn't play that game for several years after that. And in fact, when we started playing it with our kids, we noticed in both of our daughters, they don't like to lose either. But anyways, hey, we taught them it's good to lose because that's what the way things in life are. But you realize sometimes your natural persona of who you are is brought into marriage. But the reality is if your natural persona is to be competitive or to criticize, that actually undermines your marriage. That actually makes it to where you become the antagonist to your spouse. And instead of your spouse seeing you as the chief encourager, the chief supporter, the one who builds up, the one that they can rely on, they're the one that you don't want to tell anything to because they will tell you why you did it wrong. And they will criticize, or they will compete. they'll say, man, I had a bad day. And it's twisted. I know. If you're a competitive person, you know what I'm talking about. If your spouse comes home and talks about their bad day, you immediately want to tell them how your day was worse. Because it's just like you're just competitive that way. And so you tend to undermine and do these things. And here's the thing, that has no place in marriage. It has no place in marriage. And the reason it has no place in marriage is because if you are competing with your spouse, you are literally competing against yourself. Because the two have become one. If you are criticizing your spouse, you have literally criticized yourself. I remember sitting one time and the woman was talking to her husband and she got off the phone and she called him some choice names. And I thought to myself, well, you married him. You made that choice. You put yourself in that position. What does that say about you? Well, he's an idiot. Well, you married the idiot. You see, you got to realize that when the two become one, it is just as much about you as it is about them. And so you need to be encouraged. Let me share with you a couple verses I think help us understand this. Colossians chapter 3, verse 14 says, above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. Now, I'm not a musician by any stretch of the imagination, but I know enough to be dangerous. Harmony is an interesting thing because if you play a harmony by itself, it doesn't sound right. But if you play a harmony with the other parts, then it complements the other part. It actually makes it fuller. It makes it sound bigger. It makes it sound more significant. It connects everything together. Now, here's the thing. They are not the same note. Can you imagine how boring it would be if a piano had all the same notes? You just play it like, it just sounds like a typewriter. And so that's not how God created us. God doesn't expect you to be exactly like your spouse. Rather, he expects you to use your differences to complement your spouse, to help complete them, to finish who they are. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 says this, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. What is unwholesome talk? Well, he actually explains it. He says, but only what is helpful for building others up. And then notice what it says, according to whose needs? Their needs. According to their needs. Often in our conversations, we are more concerned about whether or not it's our needs that are being fulfilled. And Paul says, listen, the reality is when you're having a conversation with somebody else, you're supposed to speak in such a manner that it builds them up, it encourages them, and it's supposed to be according to the way that they need it. Do you know that your spouse has a unique way, a unique DNA, a unique personality that gets encouraged by different things? If you don't take the time to understand and learn and really realize what your spouse and how they are made up, you will never be able to encourage them the way that they are encouraged. Your spouse may be encouraged by giving them flowers or buying them a new tool or something like that. Your spouse may be encouraged just by sitting together some night on the porch and watching the cars drive by in the subdivision or whatever the case may be, going out to eat, whatever. You have to understand and learn your spouse and understand how they tick to be able to be the type of encourager for them. And then notice how it ends. To benefit those that listen. It's all about the hearer. It's not about the speaker. It's all about the hearer. And so when you understand this concept in marriage, it's about your spouse. It's not about you. And we'll finish it up with this, Hebrews chapter 3, verse 13. You must encourage one another how often? Each day. Each day. You need to literally time it out, plan it out. If you are not a planner, you're like, I just run things by my head. I'm just good that way. You need to probably put a reminder on your phone, or you need to put something, because your responsibility as a husband or a wife is every single day speak or do something that encourages your spouse. Every day. He finishes this, he says, and you must keep on while there is still time that can be called today. Guess what? Tomorrow never comes. It's always today. So Paul does a little bit of fun with us here. He's like, listen, as long as today is today, you should always encourage today. That's kind of how he says it. And he says, now listen to this. If you don't, then sin may fool some of you and make you stubborn. Sin may cause you, if you are not getting that encouragement that you're supposed to be getting from your spouse, or you're not giving that encouragement that you're supposed to be giving as a spouse, you may actually be setting yourself up to fall for some temptation down the road. Because you've not been built up and you've not had the courage built into you, and you've not built the courage into your spouse. So what I want to do is I want to give you 3 statements, 3 things that your spouse needs to hear from you on a regular basis. You don't have to say it every day. You don't have to create a list and go, okay, and you wake up in the morning and go, okay, there you go, okay. But it really needs to be something that you, on a regular basis, go, okay, I'm going to be intentional about these things in my marriage because I understand my spouse needs to have this encouragement. They need to have the courage placed in them from me, and I'm the one to do it. I'm the one that's going to take that responsibility. I'm the one that's going to step up and make it happen. So number 1, I believe in you. I believe in you. Now you go, well, I don't know that I do believe in them. Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to say it enough until you actually get to that point where you actually believe in them. Now, marriage is a two-way street. Marriage is 2 people coming together. So, you need to have conversations about the direction that you're going. But the reality is you need to look at your spouse on a regular basis and come up with all sorts of different ways where you can say, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe you can do it. I believe in who you are. I believe that you are the man or the woman that God created for me. I believe that you are the best husband, best wife for me. I believe that you can do all the things that God has called you to do. I believe in you. I believe that you can actually be a success. Can you imagine if all the marriages in this place began to speak that back and forth to each other, what type of cloud you would be walking on a regular basis? If before you walked out the door every morning, your spouse looked at you or you looked at your spouse and said, honey, I believe in you, go get him today. You're like, you what? You want me to do what? Okay. Because you have somebody that believes in you. Do you realize the vast majority of our world don't have a single person who has ever looked at them and said, I believe in you? The vast majority of people in our world have never had anyone look at them and say, I believe in you. Guys, I don't know what's going on back here. We've got like some going on back here, and one of these things over here just kind of keeps going on and on and on. So, yeah, it's still doing it. If we maybe get that unplugged or something, I don't know. I'm going to look at it real quick. Maybe we can pause that video real quick. I think it's this guy right here. Let's look. Shh. It's this one. I think it's going to explode. It may just be the fan. Okay, we're going to let it breathe. Just in case, if it starts to smoke, warn me. Okay. I don't know what it is. Okay, so I believe in you. We all believe in Dale. He got it fixed. There we go. But I believe in you. The second thing, I will help you achieve your dreams. I will help you achieve your dreams. You see, it's one thing to say, I believe in you. Go get him, Tiger. I'll be here if you need anything. It's another thing to say, I believe in you, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help you achieve your dreams. Now, again, I want to remind you, because sometimes there are selfish people in this world. I know it's a shock, but sometimes there are selfish people in this world. And some of you may be sitting there thinking, yeah, you don't believe in my dreams. It's not about you. Marriage is not a one-way street. If your dreams don't include your spouse, it ain't the real dream. If your dreams put your family in jeopardy because of foolish decisions, it's probably not God's dream for you. So don't be walking around going, well, you don't support my dream. Well, because your dream doesn't fit us. It may fit you, but it doesn't fit us. And when you said I do, you became super glued. That's the way it works. And so you need to have conversations about your dreams, not statements about your dreams. Because here's what I know is true. God doesn't make any mistakes, but where we make mistakes, God can make those mistakes wonderful and miraculous. So even if you think to yourself, well, I think we made a mistake, we shouldn't have gotten married, it doesn't matter. God can still make that mistake wonderful if you are willing to surrender to Him and you are willing to have those conversations, because the two of you have become one. And so when you can honestly have those conversations, you can look at your spouse and say, not only do I believe in you, but I'm ready to do whatever it takes to support your dream, because your dream is our dream. It's not just about you. The third thing you need to say to your spouse is, I will join you in our adventure. I will join you in our adventure. Again, when you said I do, you gave up I. You gave up me. You gave up my. And you traded it in for we, us, our. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great and that's exciting. But the reality is that God has put the two of you together. And you have an adventure. You have a journey that God has crafted and laid out for you. And if you will keep God at the center and the two of you will continue to do these things for one another, you're going to discover the adventure, the journey, the excitement, all these things that God has called you to. And you're going to join together to be able to experience something unbelievable. And by the way, you think about all the adventures or all the movies or all the different things that you see. It's not all good times. There are some bad times, but sometimes the bad times make the good times that much sweeter. Sometimes the bad times teach you how to be able to respond in the good times. Sometimes the good times buoy you up and give you enough confidence to be able to make it through the bad times, because it's an adventure. There are highs, there are lows, there are things that are great and there are things that are awful. But the reality is that you're saying to your spouse, I will join you on our adventure. Mark chapter 3, verse 25. If a house is divided against itself, how's that verse end? How's it end? Say it. That house cannot stand. If you don't learn to be your spouse's encourager, you are setting your house to fall apart. A house divided against itself cannot stand. If the two of you are pulling in different directions, you're going to tear each other apart. So as you understand this idea of encouragement or placing courage within your spouse, and you commit to those things saying, yes, I believe in you. I will support your dreams. I will join you on this adventure. It becomes completely different. No longer is it you against the world. Now it's the two of you together being able to conquer anything. I want to give you a couple of practical things because I think it's important to not just teach the big picture truths, but then also talk about how to apply those truths. I think that God teaches us that. God tells us that that's really important. So let me just give you a couple things. And first, I'm going to start with you guys, okay? So guys, here we go. Let me just give you a couple things. Get a game plan together. You literally need to get a game plan together. If you're a digital guy and you like to do it on your phone, do it on your phone. If you're a paper guy, get a notebook and begin to write it out. If you're a computer guy, sit down and type it on whatever. Get a game plan together. Begin to really think about how you're going to do it and then execute it. If you really need to do it, take 10 minutes out of your day and ask yourself, how can I encourage her? How can I encourage her? What is something I can do or something I can say to encourage her, to inspire her, to give her encouragement, to be able to make it through the day? Maybe it's a simple text message. Maybe it's some flowers, or maybe it's a surprise date that she didn't know was coming up. And maybe it's just she needs you to call her out of the blue and then just tell her why you love her so much, why she's so amazing. honey, I think you're awesome. I think you're fantastic. You're so good at your job. She may have just been hollered at her boss because she's such a loser, and you call her and she's like, this is what I needed. And they're going to be on the phone for the next hour, but that's okay. Because you are to give her courage. You are to encourage her and to be able to do that. The point is that you will do this as long as you make it a priority. If you make it a priority, maybe set a reminder on your phone. Maybe you need to do this. You need to set a reminder on your phone and make it just like a 5-minute reminder, and you can title it Brainstorming for Encouraging Thoughts for Her. And you just set 5 minutes every day. Okay, I think, what can I do? What made her smile last time? And you can just start typing these things out and make it do it, and then begin to put it into practice. Make it happen. Your words and your actions of encouragement and acknowledgement will spur her on, and it'll fill her with confidence. Now, execution is important in this. I got a text message on Wednesday of this week from somebody from our church, and I asked for permission. I'm not going to give names, though. And he texted me, and he said, hey, I tried what you were talking about this week, and I didn't get the response I expected. And I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, what did you say? So he sent me a screenshot, and this is the screenshot. I'm just going to read it for you. I don't care if you lick the window or occasionally pee in your pants. You hang in there, Buttercup. You're friggin' special. You hear me? Her clear emoji response was not thrilled. And did you get your phone stolen? A for effort. Not so much on the execution part, okay? So execution is just as important as effort, all right? I got permission, I promise. So so there you go, guys. Listen, so ladies, let's talk to you for just a second. Ladies, this is so important for you to hear. You have more power than you know. Now, some of you may go, oh no, I know. But you have more power than you know. I like to call it the warrior maiden complex, the knight and princess concept. As warriors, as knights, as guys, we like to go out and we like to conquer. We like to go into battle. We like to have those risky things. We like to slay dragons and conquer villains and knock over castles and all these different things. This is what we love to do. But I will tell you this, there is nothing better or more encouraging to a guy's heart than after he does that to come home and stand in front of his maiden, his princess, his queen, whatever you want to call it, and kind of do one of those. And have her go, nice job. Well done. High five. Let me tell you, we as guys will run through brick walls for a woman that believes in us. For a woman that will encourage us. For a woman that will build us up. Wives, you can encourage or discourage your husband with your words, with your tones, with your looks, with your eye rolls, like no one else on the planet. Like no one else on the planet. You have that power. The question is whether you will use that power for good or evil. Because God has placed it in you. A purposeful, well-placed line of encouragement can soften your husband's heart and ease his pain. You can fill him with strength and energy and courage as long as you wield your power lovingly before him. So the big commitment today my challenge to you to make the commitment to your spouse is this: I will be your biggest, most vocal fan. It doesn't matter if the rest of the world doesn't believe in you, I believe in you. Not only do I believe in you, I will support you. Not only will I support you, I will join you, because we're a team. Where you go, I will go. Where you win, I win with you. Where you are a success, I'm a success right along with you, because the two have become one. And we're in this together. If you, as a married couple, can get this concept, there is not a single thing in this world that you cannot weather, that you cannot overcome, then you cannot conquer. Because as you do this and you begin to do it God's way, God gives you the strength to work through everything, to come out the other side, not only surviving, but victorious and even stronger. If you will be your spouse's biggest and most vocal